Red Bull's 2022 contender proved to be one of the most dominant cars in Formula One history. In fact, with the exception of a couple of races at the start of the season, the RB18 demonstrated race pace that far outmatched the competition. However, in 2023, every team, including Red Bull's main rivals, will be looking to evolve their cars in order to dethrone the new kings of the sport. And it will be Red Bull's engineering prowess that will try to keep them at bay. Fortunately for us, some interesting details about the 2023 Red Bull car, as well as a potential new livery, have been revealed. So, let's take a look at the team's challenger for this season and how we think they will fare. How the design of the RB18 will influence the RB19. When one car is clearly dominant, there's an unwritten but always followed rule that the next car will simply be an evolution of it. The Red Bull RB18 not only represented the best interpretation of the 2022 F1 technical regulations, but it was also the least affected by rules changes during the season. The car's excellent control of the phenomenon of porpoising, which had reappeared on F1 cars this season as a legacy of the ground effect single-seaters, was a standout feature. The aerodynamic properties of the RB18's floor configuration, combined with the geometry and apparent simplicity of the front suspension, allowed the car to manage the effects that caused the jolts. This practically neutralized any bouncing often seen on the Ferrari or Mercedes. To simplify the concept, there was almost a mechanical replica, in line with the current technical regulation, of the effects that years ago were obtained through the adoption of active suspensions. The RB18's performance, along with that of the Honda RA622H power unit, was built on the perfect integration of aerodynamic performance and vehicle dynamics. The progressive weight loss of the car, which was over the 798 kg limit at the start of the season, was a strong link between these two elements. The design team, led by Pierre Wachet and directly overseen by Adrian Newey, recognized right away that one of the factors capable of generating performance was the controlled management of stiffness in the central section of the floor. It was critical that the lateral peripheral sections did not undergo any deformation. This prevented the floor from generating an aerodynamic block with the extremely low ride heights, nor did it cause the structure of the airflow under the car to break, which would have increased the porpoising. Throughout 2022, the team has prioritized weight reduction and the progressive updating of the floor. It's worth noting that no fewer than 16 versions of the floor were created, and none of them clearly distinguishable by visible details. The information gathered throughout the season, even in the case of minor positive feedback, such as the debut of the new floor introduced at Silverstone, allowed the technical office to lay the groundwork for the RB19, while maintaining the same priorities that characterized the development of the RB18. First, details of the RB19. While maintaining a strong family feeling with the previous car, this year's challenger has adhered to two principles that will define its profound renewal. Weight reduction was the basis of the initial objectives of the project, already starting from the ideas of the lightened chassis, which has been widely discussed over the course of the summer. The RB19 monocoque will be approximately 3 kilograms lighter than its predecessor. The floor will also be lighter than the previous one, thanks to the new regulation that raises the section connecting the Venturi channels by 10 mm and the side profile in front of the rear wheels by 15 mm, while maintaining a high degree of stiffness in relation to the shape of the sides, preventing deformation in the peripheral portions. The gearbox case and suspension element placement will also be distinguished by a lower narrowing, which increases the section of the lower Venturi channels. In terms of the upper aerodynamics, the general layout of the side pods, while maintaining strong similarities with the 2022 model, will be characterized by a refinement of the cutouts under the side pods, which create a double floor effect. At the base of the side pods, there will be an extension to the rear of these cutouts. In the end, the RB19 should not surprise in terms of shape, as the RB18 construction solutions and vehicle dynamics will remain similar, but will nonetheless undergo a pretty interesting evolution. Red Bull's new F1 Livery Tease echoes previous antics. Now that we've gotten the technicalities out of the way, let's look at the Red Bull's livery hints. The Austrian team has teased that a livery change may be in the works for the 2023 season. The team tweeted a photo of what appeared to be a base model of its car, mostly white with a blue Red Bull logo on the engine cover, with the caption, "2023, a blank canvas." Red Bull will hold its 2023 launch event in New York on Friday, February the 3rd, though it is unclear whether the new RB19 will be revealed at that time or just a color scheme on a show model or 2022 model. Last year, Red Bull's launch featured a notoriously basic version of the RB18. AlphaTauri has already stated that its own February 11 New York launch will feature the 2023 livery on an old car at the event, with images of the new car being released online at the same time. Red Bull's tweet could be a genuine hint that it is planning a rethink of a look that has changed relatively little in its F1 history, that it is planning a special pre-season testing livery, or it could simply be a fun social media tease ahead of launch season. While everyone will undoubtedly welcome a complete livery change for 2023, the team's previous hints of doing something different with its color scheme have not been followed up on when it comes to the car it actually puts on the Grand Prix grid. So, let's go back in time and look at previous Red Bull livery changes, as well as why we believe their tweet is more marketing than a genuine pursuit of a new look for the season. The Sauber RebBull Can. Before buying Jaguar at the end of 2004, Red Bull was a long-term title sponsor for the Sauber team, even holding a stake in the company. And if it wanted to signal its transition from sponsor to full-fledged team owner in Formula One with a new identity, it had a ready-made livery change option in the form of its drinks can design. Despite the fact that it seemed obvious that the team would take this route, Red Bull has never actually raced a car in the colors of one of its cans. The only time we've seen that was during the winter of 2004-2005, when it hastily rebranded the Jaguars it inherited during testing. And when the definitive 2005 Red Bull car was revealed, it had a distinct appearance that could be traced all the way back to the 1995 Sauber, but not at all like one of their energy can drinks. The Camo Bull. Red Bull's 2015 car emerged from testing in a mock camouflage livery resembling what you'd expect to see on a prototype road car pounding around the Nordschleife before release. The pattern, known as dazzle camouflage, was first used on British merchant ships during World War I. Unlike other forms of camouflage which merely aim to conceal, its patterns of geometric shapes in contrasting colors, interrupting and intersecting each other, was designed to make it difficult to estimate a target's shape, range, speed, and heading. Red Bull was happy to play up suggestions that it was an attempt to conceal the car's secrets during testing. But it was ultimately a clever marketing move to garner some attention. The initial inspiration came from a crash helmet Sebastian Vettel wore at the 2014 Italian Grand Prix, though due to his departure from the team over the winter, he never got to drive in the livery. Team principal Christian Horner promised that those who urged the team to race in camouflage would not be disappointed when they saw Red Bull's definitive 2015 car. But whatever the team allegedly planned for the season must have been accidentally deleted. In the end, all Red Bull changed about its standard design was to add its own name to the side of the chassis, to the dismay of all the Dazzle Camo fans. Red Bull has repeated the trick a couple of times since then, debuting new cars in special liveries for the first time in 2018 and 2019. And despite fan pressure to keep the new designs, or at least some elements of them, for the duration of the season, the team always reverted to its traditional colors when proper testing began. All of this suggests that contrary to what Red Bull's Twitter tease implies, it may simply be another so-called testing livery, and the team will quickly return to running their car in the standard paint job. Of course, in the grand scheme of things, whatever livery Red Bull is sporting has no bearing on their performance. Instead, they will have to concentrate all their efforts on keeping the charging Mercedes and Ferrari teams at bay, which may be easier said than done. As we discussed in our video on the Mercedes 2023 car, which you can watch by clicking the link in the description, Red Bull may have a much tougher time this season, and we hope to see a repeat of the intense wheel-to-wheel racing we saw in 2021. But what do you guys think? Will the RB19 be a successful evolution of their dominant 2022 car? What will their new livery be, and will they once again hoodwink their fans? And how do you see the 2023 season unfolding? Please let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it and subscribing. Be sure to click the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching.